Since he was 15 years old, Muhammad Mokaev has been smashing opponents one by one. I guess that's how he earned his nickname, The Punisher. Even after stepping into the octagon over 30 times, there hasn't been one man yet that he could call his equal. Today, with a record of 4-0 in the UFC, the British Dagestani phenomenon is quickly ascending to the upper echelons of the UFC flyweight division. Now, it's time to take a closer look at the rise of the 125-pound sensation who has all UFC flyweights on notice. Muhammad was born in the year 2000 in a small town in Dagestan. When he was 12, the Mokaev family had to move to England because of his father's political persecution. Muhammad found himself near Manchester. That was where the teenager fell deeply into freestyle wrestling. He managed to win the British National Championship and had hoped to break through in the international scene, but due to citizenship, couldn't travel outside the country. While wrestling, Mokaev also took up other martial art disciplines like boxing and jiu-jitsu. He even won grappling tournaments and as a result ended up training at a local MMA gym and decided to become a cage fighter. While most of his peers were on the pitch playing football, Muhammad had his first amateur fight at the age of 15. Mokaev started the bout with a flurry of strikes and transitioned quickly into a double leg takedown. He clasped his hands and proceeded to give his opponent a quick tour of the octagon before slamming him to the mat. In the scramble, Mokaev was able to hook the neck and sink in a rear naked choke. His opponent had no choice but to tap. A dominant start to Mokaev's career brought about a title shot in a local amateur fight promotion. From start to finish, Mokaev ragdolled the unlucky opponent. He didn't get the finish, but his ferocious fighting style earned the respect of MMA legend Charles Crazy Horse Bennett, who was sitting in the commentator's chair. The 5-round showdown ended in a sweeping victory for the British Dagestani prodigy. With a record of 6-0, the undefeated Muhammad went for a championship belt in another organisation. Mokaev met little resistance. From the start of the fight, he imposed his will on the unworthy adversary, slamming him again and again and again. The one-sided slamfest came to an end with vicious hammer fist blows, causing the ref to step in and stop the fight. After finally gaining British citizenship in 2018, Muhammad went to the Amateur World Championship, entering the junior bantamweight division of 135 pounds. It only took days for Mokaev to defeat some of the best MMA talent from around the globe, securing himself a gold medal. 1 year later, Muhammad found himself back on the World Championship stage. The British Dagestani made easy work of every opponent, encountering little to no resistance. In the championship finale, Mokaev met the same rival as the previous year and completely outclassed him yet again. Despite being younger than most of his competition, Mokaev's versatile bag of skills were obviously above the rest. Fast and heavy hands, seemingly endless cardio, relentless pressure wrestling, and deadly submissions all made up the phenom's dominant and unique fighting style. With a perfect 23-0 amateur record, Mokaev was now known as The Punisher and was ready to turn pro. The 20-year-old signed his first pro contract with the Middle Eastern promotion Brave. In his first fight, he faced another fighter making their debut by the name of Glenn McVeigh. Like always, the Dagestani started off the fight with relentless pressure, throwing bone-crushing shots to the body. On the mat, Mokaev kept unloading heavy shots and talking smack to his opponent, Khabib style. Towards the end, the Punisher split open his opponent with nasty elbows and sent him home packing.
With Mokaev on top.
I can tell you it is a unanimous decision. He was undefeated as an amateur and undefeated as a pro, Muhammad Mokaev!
Only 3 weeks later, Muhammad performed at a small event in Britain and scored his first ever knockout as a professional.
Phenomenal wrestler, his grappling. Oh my goodness! He's jumped him. It's done! Muhammad Mokaev!
In October of 2020, Muhammad took one more trip to the east to brawl with the 3-0 Irishman, Jamie Kelly. The Punisher was quick and accurate from the start, landing several blows that sat his opponent down. Thudding blows were finding their mark more and more, turning the Irishman's face into a bloody mess. After brutalizing his opponent on the feet, Mokaev decided to take the fight to the ground. 30 seconds on the canvas was all the Punisher needed to sink in a rear naked choke, forcing his opponent to tap.
He's gone arm the bicep. This looks incredibly tight.
Fighter is fading to black.
Could this be the first win by submission in the career of Muhammad Mokaev? And there's a tap! Muhammad Mokaev with the first win via submission in his mixed martial arts career.
Muhammad's next visit to the Brave Cage was against Abdul Hussein, a former amateur world champion with a respectable pro record of 7-1. In this match, Mokaev finally met a force in the cage that was able to withstand his assault. It took Muhammad several attempts to get the fight to the ground. The frustrated Dagestani landed some impressive strikes. Hussein was not a pushover and displayed some nice wrestling skills of his own. The two warriors battled on for the entire duration of the bout. In the end, the outcome of this highly competitive matchup was decided by the judges' scorecards. Having now piled up 5 consecutive wins, in the summer of 2021, Muhammad went up against Ibrahim Navruzov. The Punisher's game plan was now to punish his opponent with kicks to the legs and the midsection. But midway through the first round, Mokaev landed a kick to a place that made every man in attendance cringe. The Navruzov family jewels. Ibrahim screamed in agony.
It's a dull thud of a kick.
Feeling most of us have felt at least once in our lives. When it became clear that the contestant wouldn't continue, the frustrated British Dagestani began telling the downed opponent to get up and finish the fight like a man. But no matter how hard Mokaev tried, Ibrahim refused to get up. The fight was ultimately ruled a no contest. 3 months later, Mokaev faced off against SPG Ireland representative Blaine O'Driscoll. Mokaev had hoped to pull off a quick victory. However, the Irishman fought back relentlessly. After avoiding a near finish, Blaine launched a counter-offensive that forced Mokaev to shoot for a few desperate takedowns.
Feel a little bit of separation here. Trying to get a big knee to the head as Blaine O'Driscoll. Landing shots to finish the round.
Bill, the Punisher is slowing down just a little bit.
Is that perhaps because of the pace that's being set by an inch?
Midway through the second round, the Punisher found an opening to take the Irishman's back. Wrapping around the enemy with python-like precision, Mokaev capitalized on the opening with a rear naked choke.
It's tight.
He did beat Jimmy Kelly via rear naked
Short choke. He's got the hips in.
And there's the top.
When the UFC called, Muhammad didn't think twice. Plenty of managers had been eager to sign the buzzing prospect, but the Punisher rejected all offers, and shortly after turning 21, Mokaev entered the UFC promotion on his own terms. In 2022, Muhammad was welcomed to the roster of the flyweight division, which had blossomed following the departure of former flyweight king Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, becoming the youngest athlete in the entire organization. Muhammad debuted at UFC London in late March. His opponent, Cody Durden, was almost cracking the top 15 rankings and had twice as many pro fights. The two combatants started aggressive at the bell, but in less than a minute, Mokaev landed a devastating switch knee that dropped the American. Cody managed to grab hold of a single leg and slam Mokaev, but couldn't break the Punisher's grip. Muhammad finished the fight on the mat. The Dagestani achieved victory in just 58 seconds and secured a performance of the night bonus in his first UFC outing. 4 months later, Muhammad returned to the Octagon in front of a rumbling London crowd. His opponent was Charles Johnson, a former LFA champion with a record of 11-2. When the bout began, Johnson seemed to be on shaky legs. Mokaev wasted no time pressuring the American. Grabbing a tight waist grip, Mokaev slammed Johnson to the mat. The opponent was too tough to finish. Nevertheless, Mokaev dominated throughout all 3 rounds. He easily won a decision victory and set a new flyweight record with 12 takedowns. In October of 2022, Muhammad was set to fight against Malcolm Gordon, a heavy-handed Canadian submission artist with a record of 14-5. At the start of the bout, Mokaev was working well, off the back foot. He followed up with continuous pressure and landed a flying knee that clipped the Canadian. This allowed Mokaev to secure a takedown. The Dagestani peppered his opponent with consecutive ground strikes. He attempted a choke and ultimately ended the round on top in dominant fashion. In the beginning of the second round, Muhammad came out with acrobatic kicks, attempting to impress the crowd in Abu Dhabi. He had little success, but his flashiness almost cost him. In a series of scrambles, the Canadian swept Muhammad and nearly punished him with a rear naked choke in the final seconds of the round. In round 3, Gordon came out aggressive, knowing he had to get the finish to win the fight. The Canadian slammed the cocky Mokaev and threatened him with another choke. Muhammad escaped the choke and got back to the guard. Late in the fight, Mokaev's wrestling instincts took over. The Dagestani managed to pull off a last-minute armbar.
The expectation is so high for him now. Armbar.
Get the arm, he's got the arm!
He's got it.
Wow! Muhammad Mokaev!
With his second submission win at the highest stage of combat sports, the Dagestani phenomenon ascended to number 12 in the bantamweight rankings. And with a few more wins, he could find himself fighting for title contention. Muhammad Mokaev is one of the toughest young bloods crushing competition in the UFC. He has a long road to achieve his goals, but with his skill set, there's no doubt that he will make it to the top of the mountain. Until next time, don't forget to smash the like button and smash life.